Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Sanctuary, the Keeper's Era. Sanctuary is brought to you by Tabula Games. It's for 1 to 2 players, ages 14 and up, and games range anywhere from 20 to 60 minutes. In the dark fantasy world of Elnirth, we are in a time of war and wonders, known as the Keeper's Era. The Keepers are fighting to preserve their essence, ancestral energies that they can channel and tame through their sanctuaries. You are one of these Keepers, and your objective is to prevail on the others by summoning your army of acolytes and destroying your opponent's sanctuaries. Pick one of the 6 unique factions and meet your champion, a legendary individual chosen amongst the most faithful and talented devotees. Join the fight and accomplish your destiny. Who will be the last one standing? First, you'll take the playmats and position them head to head for this battle. Now, these are prototypes, but in the final version, these playmats will have grid lines showing you the different lanes and rows that you'll be placing your cards in. The top row being basically your attack row, offense, the middle row being your defense, and then this back row is going to be your sanctuaries, your buildings that you're trying to protect and gain power through. Then each player will choose a faction, and these factions are very different in their different sanctuaries and powers and abilities and so forth, but there are 6 different pre-constructed or predefined decks that you can choose from, and they're in these handy tuck boxes to keep them organized, which is pretty nice. Then you're going to pull the cards out. Basically, you're going to remove the sanctuary cards, I should say, and put them at the bottom of your play area. Now, these sanctuary cards have a couple different tracks on them. You have the Aegis track, which is on the left, which is basically like your health, so to say, before the sanctuary is destroyed. And on the far right is your Splendor, and through each turn of the game, your Splendor will increase, getting you ever closer to that sanctuary's power to help you throughout the game. And once you reach the bottom of those tracks, then until that sanctuary is destroyed, you will have those abilities throughout the rest or the course of the game. Now, each faction has their champion, and the champion gets placed out into the play area as well. However, it's not activated. You still have to pay the cost to bring it into the battle, but it is available to you whenever you have the crystals to pay the cost and activate it. Now, you also will take your rest of your deck, you're going to shuffle it up, and you're going to draw 4 cards. This will be your starting hand. And on every turn of the game, you're going to be getting crystals. This is how you pay to place cards into the different defense or offense areas of your board. And the main cards that you're going to be activating in here are your acolytes, which is really your force. And you have ritual cards. These cards generally activate and then are discarded. And they can do all kinds of different things, aiding your acolytes in battle, or perhaps forcing you to make sacrifices in order to gain special things throughout the game. So they are very powerful cards. All right, so let's take a closer look at one of these cards. In the top left corner is going to be the cost that you have to pay in crystals to bring the card to the battlefield. And across the way there is your clan icon. The number in blue is going to be your attack rating, and the number in red is your health. Now, the interesting thing about health in this game is that you have to do the full amount of damage to your opponent in order to eliminate that card from the battle. Because at the end of their turn, if it hasn't been fully damaged, then it will just regain its health. So it's all or nothing. Now at the bottom of the card, you'll find icons and an ability that may activate. Depends on several things here. So let's take a look at these icons on this example first. First, we have the Genesis icon, which states that when this card is played, you can activate the ability at the bottom. Now, this ability has a little Reaper icon in it. And what that means is that when you do damage to your opponent, it actually doesn't require you to do the full amount of damage. Just 1 point will eliminate that particular card. And then the icon next to it is the Zealous icon. This means that you can deploy the card ready. Most cards come out exhausted, so they can't be used in that battle. But this card in particular, very powerful. It can do really quick, fast damage to your opponent and come out ready. And there's several other icon types, as you can imagine. Fierce is one of note because Fierce means you can only deploy that card into the offense area of your board. And there's a Veil card, which is a protection really. Your enemy can't target you using rituals or abilities. So these icons are powerful, and really how you put them together in the different configurations in your attacks matters greatly. So let's take a quick look at a turn. Now, the beginning phase of a turn really starts with you gathering crystals, and you can really have as many crystals as you want. You can let them gather and save up for something big, like bringing your champion out into the battle, and just putting multiple cards out at once, maybe doing a big attack. And again, remember, when you deploy a card, it's going to come out exhausted. So you're looking for key icons and different structures of these cards and how you might place them to make them most efficient. But the first thing you're doing is gathering crystals. You gather 2. And then you're looking at any cards that you have in play if they have keywords beginning phase or something like that. So if you do, then you'll activate those abilities and things at this point. And then you move to summoning. And just like the beginning phase, if you have any abilities or effects that activate in the summoning, then you'll do that first. Now you're looking at the hand of cards that you have, and you have 4 cards in your hand at any one time. And the thing here is, again, you're looking to see what cost each of these cards are, looking at where you might deploy them, and being mindful of the icons and how and where you might deploy them into the battlefield. Are they going to be offense or defense, and so forth? You have to be able to pay the cost of each of the cards, and then you can deploy them. And in most cases, they come out exhausted again, except for those with the Zealous icon. And then we move to the attack phase. And this is where the lanes become very important, because when you're attacking your opponent, you're trying to attack the sanctuary within the lane that your acolyte is in. Now, if they have acolytes of their own in the defense row, you have to deal with those first. They will absorb damage protecting the sanctuary. But really, the sanctuary is what you're after, and you're trying to reduce their Aegis. And as you hit them, that bar will move down. And once a sanctuary is destroyed, then that sanctuary is flipped over and no longer viable. Now, again, you want to get after these sanctuaries as soon as possible, because once their splendor moves all the way down, then that ability of that card activates, and it will take place throughout the game. So you really are trying to get after those sanctuaries fast. I mean, it's obviously one of the triggers for winning the game is destroying all their sanctuaries and so forth. But really, you are definitely battling back and forth, trying to make the best choices in order to reduce that sanctuary to nothing. And not only the sanctuaries, but you will be attacking your opponent's units or their acolytes, trying to reduce those as well so they have less options when they attack you. And you have to be mindful, though, because some of those acolytes do have reactionary abilities if they get destroyed and things like that. So again, it is a trade-off on how you're handling the different attacks and how you chain things together. And then you move to the end of turn phase, which is really just kind of a big cleanup phase. One of the big things here you're doing is looking to see if you have any end of turn abilities that activate. Bam, those will fire off. You're going to be moving the Splendor on your card down by 1, moving ever closer to the abilities of those sanctuaries. Again, super powerful. You want to get them there and protect them as long as possible. And any partial damage that is on any of your acolytes gets removed as your acolytes all heal back up. And all your exhausted cards become readied. And finally, you'll be drawing back up to 4 cards. Now, you do have a choice here. You could discard first and then draw up to 4. So there's definitely some trade-offs and choices to be made if you're not super happy with the cards that you've been dealt and preparing for your next phase or your next turn. And so turns will go back and forth this way, engaging in battle, destroying acolytes, using rituals, don't forget those, and ultimately destroying your opponent's sanctuaries. And the first player to destroy all their opponent's sanctuaries will be the winner. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form. So keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now that said, first off, I have to say, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful, beautiful game. The artwork is absolutely amazing. Now, I really enjoyed the different abilities of these cards and how they can chain really well. And really the Sanctuary's powers, and when those activate and come into play, add so much to the game. And you really do have to be careful about how and where you deploy cards and what you put together. There are cards that work together, adjacent and so forth. So lots of abilities of these cards, lots of things to learn as you play. And again, lots of factions to experience, very different depending on which of the different races or factions that you play. But ultimately, folks, if this looks like a game that would be of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando, in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.